Well, welcome to Cover 2 TV. It is the overtime show. It was week 13 of the NFL season, was it?
It was.
It was week 13 of the NFL season. It's hard to keep up. 10-2 Vikings.
Well done.
We're going to be talking about them.
6-6 Packers.
We're going to be talking about them.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the New Orleans Saints. We're going to be talking about Philadelphia Eagles and Seattle Seahawks as well. And then we're going to take that patented spin around the league. I am joined for this one by the man, the legend, the one, the only, Steve Hoare. And yeah, he's joined by, well, me. So we're going to get straight into the Vikings 14, Atlanta Falcons 9. No touchdowns on the day for Matty Ryan. Case Keenum running the show once again, Steve. And that Vikings team on a roll at the moment.
Yeah, it's all on the defense. As good as Keenum and the offense are playing, and they are really, really good, the defense is just absolutely out of this world. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And the Atlanta offense in recent weeks have been firing on all cylinders. It looked like it'd been getting back to its best. We'd just seen Julio Jones go for 250 something yards, and they just couldn't do it.
No.
And it was Xavier Rhodes, wasn't it, who had them pretty much in his back pocket, to be honest with you, which is
2 for 24 on the day.
Yeah, unbelievable, and off 6 targets like that. So I thought Rhodes was outstanding, and the Vikings just did what they had to. Case Keenum in the first half was a bit ropey, I thought, but you know, second half I think he completed every single pass, and by all means,
it was ridiculous. I mean, he did complete every half, but the last time I saw it was 13 for 13 in the second half.
Yeah, I think it was every pass or something, and he was just popping it off to I think 11 different receivers, just managing the clock because he trusts his defense, so he knows he doesn't have to go the big bomb every time. I mean, and he can do it because we've seen Thielen and Diggs get open and go deep at times, but he doesn't always have to do that because he trusts his defense. So, you know, like the likes of LeConte Treadwell getting catches, Wright's getting catches, the fullback's getting a little dump off, because he just knows that if I complete this pass, keep the clock running and running, my defense are far too good for this offense, and that in the end, that's what it was. And
we did wonder how the Vikings were going to match up with Julio Jones, didn't we? And we did speak about I wonder whether they'd double cover him or anything like that. But no, it was entrusted to Rhodes, and Rhodes stepped up big time, proving once again for me that he is one of the top cornerbacks in this league.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He was absolutely fantastic. But I'd say it was the pass rush that was the key as well, because Matt Ryan didn't have time to just, you know, if you give Matt Ryan time, he will throw a bomb, and Julio Jones is the only man who can catch it, because Ryan does that. He puts it in places where it's either an incompletion or Julio Jones goes up and gets it, and Jones tends to.
I mean, on one side of the ball, we've got Thielen, who I believe is the heart and soul of that offense. But on the flip side, I mean, Smith is just it. He's the guy that Mike Zimmer brings in. When things are starting to go against you, you'll see Smith on a blitz, and he'll get there, and it might not get there for a pass or whatever, but he'll break a run up. There was an amazing block on the fullback that just opens the play up, and you look at that and you go, that's the guy who leads that defense. And there's so many leaders on that defense at the moment, you almost don't know who to stop, do you?
If it was me, obviously you've got to double cover Everton Griffin, or he's going to eat you alive. And then it is Smith. I agree. He's playing, you know, at a Pro Bowl level this year. He's probably been the best safety in the league this year. Him and Earl Thomas have been fantastic. Earl Thomas is the best full stop. I think he's the best I've ever seen. Well, not ever, but in recent years, since maybe Reed and Polamalu went out the league, and then it's Earl Thomas. He's that good. But Harrison Smith this season's been absolutely unbelievable, and we got the privilege to see him live, and he was unbelievable.
Everywhere,
yeah, he was unbelievable, and he was in this game. He's the same, and it's like, oh, there he is again. Oh, there he is again. Oh, it's Harrison Smith. Oh, who's that? Oh, yeah, it's Harrison Smith. And that's all it was. And I thought, you know, to keep that Atlanta offense, even if they're not playing particularly well, to 9 points, that just takes some doing, and it just shows that, you know, if you can go into Atlanta and stop that offense in that dome, because listen, that offense has torched my team time after time in that zone by, you know, 30s and 40s. They've absolutely racked the points up. So to go in and give them nothing, they couldn't really get the run game going. It was like,
I thought Freeman and Coleman were doing all right, to be honest with you.
They were doing fine, but there was never... I did never think that they were going to break off the big run.
Well, they never. 13 yards was the longest run from either of those two running backs on the day itself. 6 from Coleman, 13 from Freeman. Freeman went 12 for 74, so they combined for over 100 yards rushing. But, as you say, you never got that feeling that they were going to break a big one off.
Yeah, and if you can't break the big run, and there was no real big pass, I think Ryan's longest throw was 20 yards. There was no big play, you know, ability for the offense, and that's what the Falcons are. They're a big play offense. They're not really a drive by drive move the chains type
Yeah,
of offense.
15 plays, 80 yards.
That's not what they're built for. They are built to be a quick, explosive offense, and they just couldn't get it going.
They tried second half, didn't they, to get Julio Jones in. They came out third quarter, started moving him around a little bit. There was one play where he comes out late from the huddle and Rhodes couldn't follow him because he had to get into position. I thought that was brilliant, and I thought to myself, I hope they don't start doing this. And I wondered at the time whether it was a tactical decision by the Falcons, but the fact that they never did it again said it wasn't, and yet it worked so well. It was strange that they never did more.
It was the only time I think they got him isolated, not against Xavier Rhodes, and
he dropped the ball.
And he dropped the catch, which was a big blow for them at the time. And also, Atlanta just couldn't stay on the field. They couldn't maintain drives. Third down, they were either short of the stick or they were getting stopped on the run. It was like the Vikings were in complete control of the game, and although the score, it's a 5-point win, so you never know.
It was a 21-9 game, though.
It was. I thought that,
because think of how the game ended. We just knelt for 3 plays on the 12-yard line or whatever.
It's at least a field goal, isn't it? And
exactly. Yeah. So it's probably the way that we'd ran up the field with Murray and stuff, and Thielen keeping the drive alive on third down, and just getting everybody back in. Everybody knew that the game was over because they were out of timeout.
I was about to say, what did you make? They took the timeout 4 minutes around then, wasn't it? I don't know.
The way the game had been going, I'm not going to fault them for that. At the end of the game, it looks a little bit strange, but the way that the Vikings defence was getting off the field all the time, you've got to take your chances where they are, and they had a chance then, and it never worked out, and that's just the way that it goes. Mate.
Yeah, I suppose it's one of those where, for me, it looked like they thought, even if we get the ball back, 2 minutes isn't going to be enough against these, we're going to need a lot more time, and if not for Thielen, they probably do get the ball back with 3 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
And obviously no timeouts, but 3, that's plenty of time, isn't it, for Matt Ryan to go down the field. But yeah, I thought Case Keenum was the best quarterback in the game, which is, it's just bizarre. If you took the name off the jersey and you just put a random name on his back, you could think he was anyone.
I think Keenum is a random name for the back of it.
It's just, you could be anyone, couldn't it? Because he's playing as well as any quarterback.
He's having a career year at the moment, and he's getting paid whatever happens. And again, the quarterback controversies will continue until the season's over. Really,
there shouldn't be one. No, I don't think there shouldn't be one. It should be his team to, and if he fails, it's his team to fail with, because he's earned that right. Because, like I say, he's done everything. You know what he's really good at, which is a surprise for me, and I never associated with him. He's so good 1 yard either side of the pocket, which I associate that with Tom Brady. Tom Brady's the best I've ever seen at that. He's mobile over the space of like 2 foot, and Case Keenum's doing the exact same. He makes his offensive line better. The line's playing well, but he avoids so many sacks. I think there's so many where a lesser quarterback will be hit a lot more, and he just avoids the press and then just dumps it off. And when you dump it off, McKinnon's good in the passing game. Murray's fine, he's not brilliant at it. And then you've got the likes of, a little dump off the Diggs can go 20 yards, or a dump off the Thielen can go 15 yards, and that's what they're doing. And as it stands, they're going to have home field advantage and possibly the number 1 seed. And for anyone to go into Minnesota and beat them at the moment is going to be really, really tough.
And with the Super Bowl being in Minnesota as well.
It could be all the way.
It could be ridiculous. And this is the thing, there's a few really well-rounded teams in the NFL this season. The Vikings are one of them. They've got the offense, they've got the defense. The Saints are another, and the Philadelphia Eagles are probably the third for me, best well-rounded. Now, I think the most explosive side and the hardest to beat might be the New England Patriots, but I don't think that they're as well-rounded as the other 3 at the moment.
No, they're just amazing on offense, and the defense is playing well. It's not.
It's not as bad as it was first 5 weeks of the season.
But I agree.
They're getting up. Patricia's defense is now getting off the field, and that's massively important for them, especially when you got Brady on the other side of the ball. But we digress. This is Vikings Falcons. Do you want to make one final point?
Yeah, I just thought we spoke 2 weeks ago about not forcing the ball to Julio Jones, or why aren't you doing it? And they did it, and I just thought, I know he's covered and I get it and I understand that, but I think Matt Ryan at times can be a little bit too cautious in that just throw it towards him. Because I don't, it's very rare that he gets intercepted against Julio Jones, because worst case is he just knocks the ball out. He plays a bit of defense, doesn't he? And he'll either knock it down or he'll even commit a pass interference.
He's no Des Bryant on that though. Have you seen the stats on Des Bryant at the moment?
Des Bryant will be the one where he'll win more contested catches.
Well, Des Bryant has got 9 breakups, which is 11th of all NFL players, including defensive quarterbacks, and he's a wide receiver.
He's playing a bit of defense.
That's ridiculous. He's like 11th in the league.
I think Julio could do that. I just think sometimes all the other teams, the Giants forced to feed Odell Beckham, and the Steelers will go to Antonio Brown all the time, even if he's covered. And I just think if you've got such a good weapon, and there's very few Julio Joneses about, I think you'll probably take advantage a little bit more. And I wonder if the Falcons will regret that going forward, because that's a big loss.
It is, and it absolutely is. Okay, so they're now 7-5. Minnesota Vikings 10-2. We'll finish up with that one. We'll move on to Tampa Bay Bucks versus the Green Bay Packers. Now, Green Bay, we've not really spoken about them very much so far this season. Obvious reasons. The fact is the franchise quarterback goes down. But I think there's a story building, bubbling under the surface with these Green Bay Packers, because, you know, they're now 6-6, 500 for the year. Aaron Rodgers has been missing for a large proportion of this side. Don Shula is his name, the defensive...
Don Capers, sorry.
Where have I pulled Shula from there? That's from a long time ago, isn't it? Don Capers' defence is stepping up at the moment, isn't it? And, you know, they've won another game. This time it was 26-20, Steve. You've got to be excited going into the last few weeks of the season.
Exciting, I don't know, but there's something there to play for. Still, the season isn't completely dead, because they play the Browns next week, and if they can win that, Rodgers is eligible to return for the final 3 games, which is, you know, it's Panthers, Vikings, Lions, so it's not easy, but you've got 12 on the field, you might have a chance. And if the Packers can win out, you go 10-6, and then they're in the mix. There's tiebreaker implications with the Falcons and stuff, and the Saints as well. So it is difficult. It wouldn't be easy, but if they can, what they need basically is the Saints to beat the Falcons a couple of times, which is more than you know possible, because the Saints are flying at the moment. And then they try and sneak that last wild card place, and it's not beyond the realms, because, you know, they should beat the Browns regardless of who's playing quarterback. And then 12 gives you a chance in all 3 of those games. So,
what about this game, Steve? How did Hundley do?
He's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Yeah, he was really, really, really bad. 84 yards passing.
13 of 22.
Yeah, he's crap.
There are... listen, I'm not going to argue with you. You've seen a lot more Green Bay and a lot more Hundley than me. But I think there's a little something there. And I don't know whether the scheme's not quite right for him, but I do see the makings of a decent quarterback there. I'm not saying he's going to be a world beater. I don't think he will be.
Like a good backup.
Yeah, I think
he's got the skill set. He can throw it. He's really good when he runs, and he runs.
And
there
was more
well.
running in this game than previous. Is that right?
Yeah, and some of it was designed as well, which I think was a good thing.
His own reads looked great.
He's good at that. His issue is he processes things very, very slowly. So
you need the best line in the world.
Basically, he needs all day, or he's just a strip sack waiting to happen.
Peterson's not going there, mate.
He's very much not at the moment, is he? So it's like, what he sometimes I think, what are you waiting for? Just fucking throw the ball, and I don't know the guy's not open, he doesn't see it, he's not reading things, or it's just because when he does get the ball out quickly, it looks okay. You know, his wind up and his release is pretty good. But I think it's all mental, and whether it's he doesn't understand the scheme or the route, or he just doesn't trust something that he's seeing, he just takes too long, and the pass rush in his face, and that's what it is. He was lucky, no, I say lucky, he was not lucky, but he was fortunate to an extent, I suppose, that the running game was so good. Because, you know, he just hands it off to Jamal Williams 20 times, and Jamal Williams, 113 yards, got a touchdown. Aaron Jones comes in at the end.
Was that one play he played?
Yeah.
Amazing.
And
I love the commentator, there's a new hero in Green Bay or something.
Yeah,
I mean, that was absolutely brilliant.
That's
a star is born type of shit.
And Jones has been really good when he's been healthy. You know, he hasn't been healthy, that's why he wasn't on the field. And he gets on for one play and wins the game with a touchdown. But
20-yarder.
Yeah, it's really good. But the running game is what worked, and the defence, and also Jameis Winston didn't help the Bucks.
It was a mad game for me because the Bucks dominated.
Oh, but in every sense, yeah.
But every time they got close or in the red zone, there was just ridiculous mistakes from it being the centre snapping the ball too early, from Winston just messing up with a running back. It just happened time and time again. Now, what's this down to?
It looks like poor coaching. And what I would say about Jameis is that he's very, very competitive, and sometimes he's competitive to a fault. So
like Mania.
Maybe to an extent, yeah. Yeah, we are very competitive still. But where, you know, the one where Dean Lowry gets it's a forced fumble, but it's not really a fumble. He just takes the ball off him. That's the Packers get the defensive touchdown. He's trying to make a throw when he's nearly on the
play's
floor.
Over, man.
Just sometimes you need.
What did that go for? 65.
It went back to return 70-odd yard. Dean Lowry, backup defensive line.
You don't get that very often.
Not at all.
I tell you what, he can move.
He moves quick.
He was pulling away from people, admittedly other offensive linemen, but he was pulling away from them. Like.
It was a big fat guy race and slightly less fat guy.
It's like me and you.
Yeah, it's like that. I was in father side, but it's like...
He's through!
No.
He's still through! How is he still through?
Give it a minute, and he scored. It was... That take your loss, you know what I mean? Take your sack.
That's the difference between good quarterbacks and average quarterbacks in this.
You gotta know, mate. And I remember watching Hard Knocks in the summer, and there's a pre-season game. He does the exact same. When he's about to fall, he throws up in the air, and he gets picked off. And the coach on the sideline just saying, "What? You're too good for that. You don't need to do that. You can trust yourself to win it on the next down. So even if you get sacked, you trust yourself to win it on 3rd and 13, 3rd.
That's a mentality thing, man. I don't know whether that can be coached into somebody
or coached out to somebody more so. Yeah, and that ultimately that's the difference in the game because the Packers they couldn't generate offense, they couldn't move the ball in the air, and in a close game, a defensive score and like say sloppy, the Bucs aren't, and that's what makes me worry about the Packers, and that the Bucs aren't good and they dominated this game. But ultimately, the Packers won and they've kept themselves alive.
Have you seen a lot of the Bucs this season?
A bit.
I think I've only watched 2, maybe 3 full games on them. Brait seemed like a decent wide receiver.
Well, he's the tight end / he's the red zone option, which is mad because they've got Mike Evans,
who should be the red zone.
Who should be, but it's always Cameron Brait, and that's done my head. His touchdown done my head in because everyone in the whole stadium should have known the ball was going to Cameron Brait, and yet he still got open, but. He got open twice for 2 touchdowns, but yeah, the Bucs have been very, very disappointing because they've got far too much talent to be 4-8. They're much more talented than that. But like I say, it looks like poor coaching, and I think Derek Cotter might get fired at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. And I think that isn't the worst job for someone to take over. You know, especially
you've got the talent.
You've got a potential franchise quarterback. James has looked worse this year. You know, Ryan Fitzpatrick's outplayed him, which is a worry. But you've got the stars on defense like Levante David. You know, you've got Mike Evans, McCoy. So you've got Mike Evans. You've still got a bit of a running game depending on what happens with Doug Martin.
Well, Barber was great as well in this game.
You know, I loved OJ Howard, the tight end coming out of college and stuff. So there's stuff there. They just look really, really poorly coached, and that's why they're 4-8.
So I suppose let's wrap up the Green Bay Packers stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll make the playoffs?
I don't think they're good enough to win out. At the moment, I wouldn't even say they're nailed on to beat the Browns because the quarterback's playing so poorly. So they would have to.
Not even with that running game.
They might maybe
beat the Browns.
They should, but I wouldn't say it's nailed. There's like it's not enough. The Packers shouldn't be given bank at any game because the Bucs are rubbish and they only just squeaked that one. So they should beat the Browns, but then to go on a winning streak through Panthers and then through the Vikings is going to be really, really. I don't think they could beat I don't think they would beat the Vikings now, even if Rodgers was 100%. So he would have to play out of this world good to beat the Vikings because you'll still be playing for home field advantage in that game, so it won't be like the resting players. So I don't think so, but it's nice that they've at least kept a bit of interest because 3 weeks ago
I didn't think they'd be 6-6.
When I saw the first few Brett Hundley games, I was like, I kind of resigned myself to saying, you know what,
we could get a really nice trade pick.
Yeah, fourth
draft pick even.
You know, let's take something like a 4-8 and we'll see how we go and might get like the 10th overall pick, but it looks like they're going to be not.
Okay, we'll move it on then, Steve. We'll go to Carolina Panthers at New Orleans Saints. 21 for the Panthers, 31 for the Saints, and the Saints are looking great again, aren't they? I mean, it's all about Kamara at the moment. He has been incredible.
Him and Ingram are
they're the best young by far.
I can't remember one like in recent history that's this good. Like I'm struggling to think of any.
Earth, Wind and Fire for the Giants in Super Bowl season, but that was 3.
That was 3 of them, wasn't it? And again,
but that they could have had that this season. Had Peterson worked out, but the problem with Peterson, he plays from the eye, and it's so obvious when he's in the game that that's what he's there for. He gives you away. Whereas what the Saints have right now with Ingram and Kamara is you don't know what's happening. Is it going to be a little dink and dunk off to Kamara, or is Ingram going to come down, ram it down your throat? It's there. Ingram one hole straight through. Can knock off 50 yards, no problem. Kamara, I don't know how you tackle that lad. I just do not understand it. You can't arm tackle him.
No, you got no chance. You gang tackle him, and it was interesting when if you watch it, I watched it back obviously ahead of the show, and the first 5 plays, I think, he's lined up in 5 different places. So I think that's just the Saints figuring out where's he going to be most effective today. If he goes to the slot, who's going to be on him? If he's in the backfield, who's going to be on him? If he's next to Breeze, if he's behind, and they're just figuring it out. And then they got into it, and there's like, 60 yards rushing and another 66 receiving.
Crazy.
He's borderline unstoppable. I don't know what you can do. All I can think is maybe try and get your most athletic linebacker and like spot him.
Like a Keekly type of
but even and maybe...
I don't even know if that would work.
Can you spy a running back where you just, like you mentioned before, Rhodes with Julio Jones, can you follow him around the field? I don't know. Because at the moment, he is just far too good for everyone. He should be Rookie of the Year now. I think we should put that to bed. As good as some of the others have been, obviously Deshaun Watson's injury knocked that one on the head, and Kareem Hunt seems to have disappeared. So I'd say Kamara should be Rookie of the Year by now. I think he's been absolutely incredible, and along with Ingram, they're making it so easy for Breeze, because I don't know if you agree, but in this game in particular, Breeze's arm wasn't great. I don't think he looked particularly good. It looks like he's lost a bit of zip on them deep balls, at least for me. I don't know if obviously you're looking quizzical.
I'm trying to think back to the game, to be honest with you.
He goes, there's a 32-yarder, I think, or 30-yarder to Thomas that I just thought that was slow. It looks a little bit different, but he's nearly 40. And he's had shoulder issues in the past.
You don't know whether these guys are carrying injuries, do you? I think sometimes we're quick to write these quarterbacks off, and you never quite know the full ins and outs of it. And why should you? They would not tell you if a quarterback's been carrying injury, because it's just advantage opposition, isn't it? I must admit, it's not something I noticed during the game. I'm not saying it didn't happen. It's just not something that I noticed.
I don't know how you're going to stop this offense. It's going to be really difficult. Well, I suppose the easiest way is to, just absolutely kill them on the line of scrimmage. But the offensive line's playing well. It's playing better than I thought it ever would do. And I said last week I was going to change my pick if Lattimore didn't play. And
Did you?
No, I stuck with it in the end, because I just thought, as good as Carolina's defense has been, I think the Saints are going to score 30, and I can't see Carolina scoring 30, and ultimately that's what happened. Yeah, and
the Saints defense, let's give them a bit of credit here. I thought they dealt with Christian McCaffrey really well. I mean, you can look at some of the stats from him right now. 6 runs, 16 yards. That's been McCaffrey in the running game, to be honest. He's not been as explosive from the running game, has he? But 5 receptions for only 33 yards, and one of them was a 21-yarder. Yeah. So 4 receptions for 12. Obviously, he gets the touchdown, doesn't he? Which, he just sneaks out of the backfield and no one picks him up. That can happen. But generally speaking, for the other 95% of the plays, they dealt with him incredibly well. What's going to be the Panthers' downfall somewhere, whether it's in the division or it's in the playoffs, is the offensive line, because he just cannot protect Cam, and he can't create any holes whatsoever. And Stewart and McCaffrey aren't guys who are going to make their own holes. If you give him, I'm convinced if you give McCaffrey the ball in space, he's unbelievable. He's like a Kamara.
Yeah, basically he's almost impossible to tackle, but he needs the space. If you've got a linebacker right on him as soon as he gets the ball, he isn't elusive. Sorry, he's not as strong as Kamara, I don't think, in that he doesn't really shake off that many tackles. Mm-hmm. He eludes tackles rather than shakes.
He did jump one.
Yeah,
which was brilliant. Yeah. But Kamara did that as well in the game.
Yeah. Kamara's better at getting through arm tackles, like you mentioned before. I think you can arm tackle Christian McCaffrey. He very much needs to be in space to get round you and stuff. So the Panthers' offensive line is going to be ultimately, I think, what's going to kill them, because they're not creating nothing at all.
What did you think of Cam on the day?
It was a typical Cam performance. There were some throws where you just think that is incredible, and then there's some where you go, who's that? What's that to? He sails them, and
he's done that all season long.
He's done that for his whole career, bar that one season. Cam is effective because of his size and his running ability. Yeah. He is not a pocket quarterback. And
that one where he runs about 35 yards, in fact the stats will probably show where it was.
Yeah, 32,
32. That run was brilliant. What I loved about that player, and you'll probably have picked up on this as well, he shapes his body like he's about to go down for a slide, and then changes it, and the defender's just done. He's just given up, because that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. It's mad how few quarterbacks do that, because you almost need to stutter, pretend you're about to jump,
and then carry on.
And it was incredible. He got probably 15 yards after he'd done that, and he went through another 2 or 3 tackles.
He's just incredible. He's massive, isn't he? He's just ridiculous, and his running is his strength, and they need to run him more. I agree. It's what they need to be doing for him. They're just. I love the defence. I think the defence is amazing. I still think it's fantastic. 30 points, it is what it is. That's one of those. But, I still think it's really, really good. They're 8-4, but they're a disappointing 8-4 for me. Mm-hmm. I don't think they can win the Super Bowl.
No.
And if you're 8-4, any team who's 8-4, in theory, you should be thinking they should be a Super Bowl contender. I just don't think Carolina are.
Okay, well, moving on then. Final game that we're going to look in depth at before we take our spin around the league. It was the 10-1 Philadelphia Eagles going into the Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, tough place to go. It's been pretty much consistently the hardest place to go in football for a long time now, since at least 2013. But the Seattle Seahawks have made it that way for a reason. They come out on top 24-10 against the Philadelphia Eagles. This game shows me that Russell Wilson, good Russell Wilson, is better than any quarterback in the league. And I include Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers at 100% in that. The problem is, bad Russell Wilson shows up too much. Yep. So, right, that's Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, top, bottom. Say what you want about them. Let's say they're there, right? Good Russell Wilson's there. Bad Russell Wilson's down here. Mm-hmm. So the average is he's third best quarterback in the league. But when he plays well, and he played well against the Philadelphia Eagles, it's almost impossible to stop him.
Yeah, I agree. I every week I seem to rave on about Russell Wilson on the show and how great I think he is, and I agree he's the third best quarterback. And I think it's not even close to number 4. I couldn't think who had. It's a Case Keenum at 4 and Trubisky at 5. He's got no arm left apparently, so that's what we think. But I'm with you. Wilson, again, he's done it to my team. I've seen it plenty of times. He is unbelievable. He's absolutely ridiculous when he needs to be. And a 227 doesn't look that good in yards, but 3 touchdowns, he adds 30 with his legs. He extends the play and he just picked apart. The weakness of the Eagles is their secondary. That's just what it is. And if you can keep players alive against that really, really difficult front seven who are hard to handle, then you've got a chance because you can expose that secondary, and that's what he did. And big plays, and we were speaking before, lacking big plays. Well, he gets the big play to Baldwin. He gets decent plays, 20-yarder, 16, 15. There was like and
a 47, yeah.
There was enough going on, wasn't there, where you just thought he's on it. And I fancied them from early. I picked the Eagles going into the game because I thought they were the better team, but from early on in this game, I thought Seattle have got this. They're on it. And for me, it started with their defensive line. I thought Frank Clark was exceptional. He very rarely gets mentioned in terms of elite pass rushers, but he's a very, very good pass rusher. They shut down the run.
Who were the two guys, I forget the names, on the left-hand side of the Philadelphia Eagles? Left tackle, left guard.
They had the backups in, didn't they?
Who were they? Because their backups have been playing really well. Apologies. They conceded, between the two of them, 21 pressures on the quarterback. Now, for the entire season, their left tackle, I believe, had conceded 10.
Yeah, so when Jason Peters was playing and Lane Johnson, they're fine, aren't they? Because they're bookend tackles. They're missing him now, and nobody's really exposed the Peters weakness so far, have they? But Seattle did. And again, Frank Clark was in 21
pressures from just those two guys. Yeah. For context, the Seattle Seahawks on the day itself, 17 pressures on the quarterback, on Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I agree. And I was going to say that for me, where the game was won in that. They got pressure on Wentz all game, and for the first time in quite a while, the Seahawks offensive line, if they go and win the Super Bowl, which they're more than capable.
Who's their left
tackle is Dwayne Brown, so I was about to say, if they go and win the Super Bowl, which they are very much capable of doing, that trade to get Dwayne Brown near the deadline for for buttons is one of the best trades of all time.
They've gone from 30th in the league at pressure on the quarterback. I think it's 37% of the time they were conceding pressure on the quarterback. They've gone from 30th in the league up to 8th since that trade for Dwayne Brown, right? And then now it's something like 23%. Yeah. That's how much of a difference that's made. And this Seattle Seahawks offensive line has gone back to where it needed to be, which is average. If you can give, they were the worst offensive line in football, and now they are average. And average with Russell Wilson behind, and the way that he can snake out on those mad little bootlegs and stuff that he does. These are by design. He knows what he's doing. This isn't a quarterback play, but he knows what he's doing. Now, don't get me wrong. You're going to get Russell Wilson, who's going to sometimes he's going to put his tackles in trouble because he drops 2 steps deeper and it changes the angle for the tackle, doesn't it? We all know that. And the tackle has it in his mind where Russell Wilson's going to be. Russell Wilson drops deeper than that on a few, at least 4 or 5 plays every single game, and the tackles look bad because of it. Now, that happens, but Russell Wilson knows exactly what he's doing, and when he's on the move and he comes out the wrong way and he's throwing on the wrong angle, there is no better quarterback that's ever played the game at that than him.
He gets himself into positions where he's running towards his own goal line, and any other quarterback in the league, I'd be like, just get rid of it. But for him, I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
This is what I meant to do.
Yeah, and you trust him with it because he's that good, and like I say, the trade for Dwayne Brown, if they win the Super Bowl, it should go down as an all-time move by the GM. You know, John Schneider, who grew up with the Packers, so I'm familiar with him. Him and Pete Carroll aren't afraid to roll the dice. So they've done it a few times and it's worked, and they've done it a few times and they've had, they've been bitten by it. But this worked. They went and got Sheldon Richardson, which worked. He played well. They've done it in the past with Percy Harvin, where they took the chance on him, and it worked. They got them to a Super Bowl. If it failed in the Super Bowl.
And also, again, we're spending a little bit of time on the Seahawks, but they invested money in the secondary this season, didn't they? You've got McDougall, you've got Coleman coming in as well. Obviously, they've had the injuries, but these guys have had to play football, and they've all started to play at a good level. Now, is it... I forget the name of the corner.
There's Griffin and Maxwell.
Griffin's been exceptional this season. He is right up there for next season to be a starting cornerback for them because of the level that he's played at. Yeah. Now, they didn't expect that. And when the season went on, and I'm looking at it going, why are they investing so much money in this? Wow. Because they are looking at a succession plan here in Seattle. They know that the Legion of Boom can't go on forever. They're bringing the next guys in, and it just seems to me like it was really great timing to invest that money in that side of the ball.
Their defense, it was so well coached. I thought they were exceptional again. I thought they called a good game. All the blitz when they should have blitzed. They didn't need to so often, like I say, because Frank Clark was just dominating the line. And the Eagles just couldn't really get anything going. And Carson Wentz still goes for like 350 yards or something. But like I say, there was, again, you didn't really ever feel that big a danger. Obviously, Nelson Aguilar goes off. Yeah. He had a very, very good game. But other than him, there wasn't that much going on really, Alshon Jeffrey was relatively quiet, he had a few catches, and the rest of it, Zach Ertz, who's been their main weapon, did nothing of note. So it was just I don't think it's a terrible Eagles performance. I think it's just one of those days where, you go to Seattle and anyone can get beat.
They've got the Rams in the next game, haven't they? So they've stayed on the West Coast, I think, for both of these games. Now, they're 0-1 on the West Coast, and these games will define their season, I feel. Now, if they go 1-1, you can say Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. That's absolutely fine. There's no problems there. But they're coming up against the Rams next game. We'll talk about it in the preview show. This could be a defining week for this Philadelphia Eagles side to find out exactly how good they are.
Yeah, they're going to win the division, obviously. But the seedings in the NFC is going to be vitally important because there's a lot of very good teams. And listen, Philadelphia in January is no joke, especially if you're someone like the Saints or the Falcons. You want none of that. So it is a big couple of weeks for them. They looked okay. They weren't brilliant, they weren't terrible, they looked okay. They just couldn't really get the running game going, and they have been able to get the running. That's what's been helping them a lot. Whether it's been a combination of Ajayi and Blunt and a bit of Clements or whoever, they just couldn't get nothing. They just got beat in the trenches. And
Wagner was exceptional for that. I mean, that's what the Seattle Seahawks do better than anybody.
Front seven's ridiculous.
They talk about hawk tackling, don't they? And how they take their inspiration from rugby tackling, and it's more about wrapping your man in the big hits and stuff like that. Bobby Wagner can wrap a man with one arm. I mean, he's ridiculous. He's had 93 tackles so far this season. 18 of the add 18 on for assists. Guess how many missed tackles?
Not many.
0.
Yeah, what's
0.
He's had interceptions. He's had fumble recoveries. He's the best linebacker this year in the league. I don't know. I still think Luke Kuechly is unbelievable, but Bobby Wagner's as good as anything. He should be first team All Pro. He's been outstanding, and he is outstanding. And like I say, the rotation they've got on that front seven works to a charm. Works key for them. We haven't even spoken about Michael Bennett, who's exceptional. He'd be the best player on teams. He might be like the third best player on this one. It's mad, and that's why they've got a chance. You can't write them off. They have been 8-4, and they've been. I mentioned earlier in the season they've been very inconsistent on offense. They've had no sustainability. Now they've got an identity, they've got their identity is Russell Wilson. They're no longer the run and defense team. They're the Russell Wilson team, and you can win a Super Bowl as the Russell Wilson team, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, we'll move it on there. We're going to go to the Thursday night game, which was Washington Redskins, Dallas Cowboys. 14 for the Redskins, 38 for the Cowboys. How did you see this one?
It didn't go as I thought. I thought 38-14 might be Washington. Dallas improved drastically. Alfred Morris went off. The defense played outstanding, and Kirk Cousins got let down by his team. Kirk Cousins played fine in this game. I thought he played really well. He just didn't have, he had nothing around him. Where Dak Prescott played better. He wasn't brilliant, but he had help around him, and ultimately that's what won it. Okay,
well, we'll move on then. New England Patriots 23, Buffalo Bills 3. This game kind of went as I expected, at least the result did. Big talking point out of this game, Rob Gronkowski hit on Tre'Davious White, the rookie corner for Buffalo Bills. For me, Steve, and I don't know whether you agree or not, that was ridiculous from Gronk. I mean, fourth quarter, 3, 4, 5 minutes to go, game's essentially sewn up. I understand that he was feeling like the Patriots offense wasn't playing as well as it should. He was unhappy with a few of the calls that had been made just prior to it. Obviously, Tre'Davious White intercepts the ball from Tom Brady, but going in on a defenseless receiver in this league with your forearm to his head, causing a concussion, which is worst case scenario for everything that's going on around the NFL for that. Absolutely ridiculous for Gronkowski. Now, I would also temper that with, that's totally out of character for him, but there is a competitive streak in him. You don't get to where you are in sport if you're not a competitor, and it's shown what type of a person he can be, and for me that was ridiculous.
Yeah, he's had a 1-game suspension, hasn't he? He's appealing as we record, so we don't know. It should have been more. It should have been at least 2-3 games. You can't smack people in the head when they're laying on the floor. That's just it's a shithouse move, isn't it? It's not. It isn't like you've gone up to him and punched him in the face. You've hit a guy when he's laying on the floor who can't protect himself, and he's Gronk's, how big and strong is Gronk? I mean, that's a lot of weight falling down on a fella's head. So, I think one's too lenient. Yeah, I think it should have been more. And he's appealing. Good luck. I hope he gets rejected.
I hope it gets. I hope they can add games on.
Yeah, I think it was bad, and the Patriots, they're brilliant and they'll be fine even if he suspended the game. It's not the end of the world, but I just think it's not. And Belichick admits it, didn't he? Belichick called it a BS play or something like that in his post. So they all know it is out of character. Hopefully it's just a one-off, but like I say, one game isn't strong enough.
I listened. I forget which podcast I was listening to, and it was their opinion that I'm going to reiterate now. But I wish I could remember the name of it. My memory is absolutely atrocious. Anyone who'll know this will know already. But what they were saying is, they don't believe that we're too far away from suing in the NFL, and hits like that could be the catalyst for this. Now, it might not be now, it might be in 20 years' time, but if Tre'Davious White has a brain injury in 20 years' time, there'll be a case made against somebody for something like this. And the NFL really, and they have been doing, in fairness to them, need to tread very, very carefully around this stuff.
Yeah, concussions are no Joe Hardy, and we're going to come on to Steelers Cincinnati later, which is another similar one in that. There's a difference between physical football and hard-hitting football and just absolute cheap shot, shithouse football, and that's what that was.
Okay, San Francisco 49ers, a.k.a. the Jimmy Garoppolo, 15, Chicago Bears, a.k.a. Mitch Trubisky, 14.
Yeah, not much offense in this game. You win with 5. The Robbie Gould revenge game goes into Chicago and gets 5 field goals. Good luck to him. Garoppolo looked decent enough. And what I would say very quickly on the San Francisco, I think Goodwin could be special. The wide receiver, Marcus Goodwin, I think he could be really, really good. Him, Pierre Garçon, maybe a bit of Carlos Hyde, obviously Jimmy Garoppolo. There's a makings of something that Kyle Shanahan can work with. He's worked with less, and he's done all right with less. So I just think that's something that they should be positive for. And yeah, the Bears are terrible. Okay,
finally, a game that went against what I thought was going to happen, but I think you picked the Ravens for this one, am I right in saying? Yeah, Lions 20, Ravens 44. Hand injury picked up for Matt Stafford during this game. How did you see this one going?
How I thought it would go. The Lions were soft and they got beaten up. They got a couple of forced turnovers, which we thought, the Ravens are the most opportunistic defense. They've caused more turnovers than anyone. That's what they did. Joe Flacco played like an actual NFL quarterback. He looked fine, and it was dominant. It was actually dominant. At one stage, the Lions threatened to make their Lionsy comeback, but
well, it did, and then the injury occurred,
and then it went a bit to pot, didn't it? But the Ravens' defense is for real. They're going to go to the playoffs. It's going to be horrendous to watch them, but at least they've got something going for them, which is that defense.
Okay, Houston 13-24 to Tennessee. Kind of how I expected it to go, to be honest with you. I mean, Houston just don't have the offense at the moment, do they?
Yeah, and Tennessee are boring as well. They're really boring to watch. They're quite disappointing, but they've got a pretty easy schedule and they're just ticking boxes off the schedule, aren't they? They're doing what they should be doing. Again, I think they're going to make the playoffs, probably going to make the playoffs as a wild card. And again, I've got no interest in watching. I've got no interest in watching them either.
Denver Broncos 9, Miami Dolphins 35. Adam Gase taking the absolute piss.
Yeah, onside kicks when you're up by 25 or something in the fourth quarter. Fair play, you know. There's obviously a little bit of bad blood.
Shots fired at Elway.
There's obviously a bit of bad blood from history, and you know he's decided to act upon it. I mean, Denver.
I love that, you know.
Yeah, good.
I absolutely.
I've got no issue. I've got no. People say I'm all for it. Running up the score, whatever. All for it. As long as they're in the rules, yeah, I'm fine with it. Denver have been really disappointing. So 35 points against Miami.
I sat here in week 3 and said they might be the best team in the NFL.
We did. That was wrong. Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of
other best teams in the NFL, Kansas City Chiefs 31, New York Jets 38. Steve.
Yes.
Josh McCown.
Yes.
Career year.
Yeah, that's he's playing well. He's being very good, Josh McCown. He's always been okay. He just makes stupid decisions, and at times he still does that. He's very reckless, you know, he just jumps into...
For a guy who's as experienced as him, you wouldn't think he'd be as reckless as he is.
He's happy to be reckless. And
saying that Favre was.
38 points, you know, quarterback sneak on the goal line 3 times. The Jets had the longest 5-yard drive in history. They were on the goal line for like 10 minutes. They just couldn't get the ball in. Penalties going off. Marcus Peters throws the flag away.
Oh, mate, that was brilliant.
Yeah, it all went to pot. Kansas City offense showed up, and the defense didn't. They're yet to have a game in the last 7 or 8 weeks with both sides of the ball. The defense has been turning up and the offense has been, you know, AWOL. This time the offense goes well. Tyreek Hill goes off, Travis Kelce goes off, and the defense
started to see some of those explosive plays.
Yeah, they were downfield plays, and the defense couldn't stop Josh McCown and the Jets. It's just like
for them.
It is what it is.
I really do. Anyway, well done, Andy Reid. You are making other teams have good years. Indianapolis Colts 10, Jacksonville Jaguars 30.
Yeah, Leonard Fournette gets in. You know who's good? Marquise Lee. People forgot about Marquise Lee because it was the Hens and the two Allen show. Marquise Lee can play. He's just a bit of a dickhead. I mean, you've got to accept that every so often he's going to do something really stupid. But you know, Blake Bortles are still Blake Bortles crap. But their
defense is just so good, mate.
Get a lead and just protect the lead. That's what they did. And the Colts are trash.
Yeah, absolute trash. Talking of trash, Cleveland Browns 10, LA Chargers 19. LA Chargers, playing well, man.
They are the 3rd best team in the AFC for me. I think the Patriots are 1. I think the Steelers are 2.
Are they going to win the division?
Yes. And I think the Chargers are 3. I think they're better than Jacksonville. I think they're better than Tennessee. I think they're better than anyone else, the Ravens, because they have got both sides of the ball going. You know, the defense is outstanding. Joey Bosa took over this game again. He always does. Phil Rivers wasn't brilliant, but he found Keenan Allen a couple of times, and that's all he needed to do. On the plus side for Cleveland, Josh Gordon looked like he had not played the game for 4 years. I think it's been 3 years since he played or something, and he looked as good as he always has. The first play, I was like, that's unbelievable. He's either on drugs again, or he's kept himself really fit, because fair play to him, he was not really good. But
right. I picked him up in 2 fantasy leagues 2 weeks ago.
He's going to destroy the Packers at some stage, isn't he? So yeah,
hopefully.
I think the Chargers are looking very dangerous. I think Bosa is outstanding.
Yeah.
And they've got a quarterback and they've got a pass rush and they've got wide receivers and they've got a running back. They are the 3rd best team in that shit conference.
New York Giants 17-24 to the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, they got to evaluate Geno Smith because that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
They got to evaluate him just throwing short of the sticks on 3rd down. That's what they wanted. So all the best. The Raiders aren't very good. They've got Marshawn Lynch going. Listen, they had no receivers left, so they were playing with a bit of a bum hand. But they've got the same record as the Chargers, I think, and the Chargers are miles ahead of them. But the Giants, Ben McAdoo's been fired, rightly so. He's an awful coach. Jerry Reese has been fired, rightly so. He's a terrible GM. And they're just cleaning house, so...
And Manning will be back in next game.
Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. It's. I mean, you just evaluated. There's your Geno Smith evaluation. I could have told you what Geno Smith does. He runs around, he fumbles the ball, and he throws short of the sticks all the time. What an absolute...
LA Rams 32, Arizona Cardinals 16, Steve.
Yeah.
Rams are back on a roll.
Yeah,
baby.
the Blaine Gabbert, they just took advantage of a bad Blaine Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert can be decent, but this is why he's a backup, because you can have games like this, and the offense was just too hot. It was just too hot to handle. You know, there were times when Sammy Watkins just run empty on his own. Gurley had a good game. Cooper Kupp was made some really, really good catches. So, yeah, it was a pretty straightforward win. And
final game of the week, massive game in the AFC. Pittsburgh Steelers 23, Cincinnati Bengals 20. This was
a war.
A war, yeah, it was a war. It was a war. I mean, helmets flying everywhere. That's what happens in wars when heads get blown off.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what happens here. People leading with the heads over and over again. You got Ryan Shazier going down when he throws a head in on somebody else. I mean, it was absolutely insane. And then for all of that, who's the Cincinnati Bengals number 22 that lets Bell down the side? Everybody else is throwing your head in. He stands there on the touchline and goes, no, go in for a touchdown, mate.
Poor Dre Fitzpatrick keeps getting pushed on the floor by Le'Veon Bell, doesn't he?
Oh my God, every time.
It's borderline bullying at this stage.
It's the one hand. He's choke slamming him under the helmet and he's just going
every time. It's like, Dre Fitzpatrick's got kids. And they're going to watch it. They're going to watch their dad just getting manhandled by Le'Veon Bell every time. And that's what it was. Bell was the difference in the game. Juju Smith-Schuster should be suspended for that hit.
Yeah.
On Vontaze Burfict got one back, you know, because he's dished a few of those out. That was a bad one. It was an absolute brawl. I saw Peter King, who's on our wall. We love Peter King, saying that this was a bad game for football, and it was like a car crash where you kind of wanted to watch it, even though you shouldn't, because it was really awful. But the class of Le'Veon Bell for me was the difference in the game. There was times when he stood still. And it was like he was just standing watching an absolute war going off, and he was just tiptoeing through it, like sneaking through.
He's got his own little trench.
Yeah, very much has, and like I say, poor Fitzpatrick, he's got kids. You know, that's someone's dad.
Well, there you go. That's been Cover 2 TV. It's been the Overtime Show. I've been Chris Pajak. That's been the man, the legend, the one, the only Steve Hoare. Drop a like on the video. Let us know your thoughts on all the action in the week 13 of the NFL season in the comments section below. Subscribe to us on YouTube, and we'll see you next time for the preview show tomorrow.